What's up guys, and welcome to my 4.5 updated Hyacine guide. In this video I'm taking you over everything you do need to know in order to understand and builder, including a kit overview, best Lightcones, best Relics and Planar Ornaments, the main stat you want to have, substat priority, and finally at the very end, general team building ideas. Her basic attack does wind damage based off her max HP to a designated enemy. Her skill summons Ika, restores HP equal to 8% of Hyacine's max HP plus 160 for everyone except Ika. However, for Ika, it's 10% of Hyacine's max HP plus 200. Her ultimate also can summon Ika, restores 10% of Hyacine's max HP plus 200 for all allies. For Ika specifically, it's 12% of her max HP plus 240. Hyacine enters after rain state for 3 turns. Duration decreases by 1 at the start of her turn. After rain being active will increase the team's max HP by 30% plus 600. Her talent lets the Memo Sprite Little Ika have a max HP equal to 50% of Hyacine's. Hyacine or Ika providing healing will increase Ika's damage up by 80% for 2 turns, stacking up to 3 times. The technique will make the next battle starting, restore HP by an amount equal to 30% of Hyacine's max HP plus 600 for all allies, and a 20% max HP increase for 2 turns. Then for the Memo Sprite skills specifically has Ika do wind damage to all enemies by an amount equal to 20% of tally of healing done by Hyacine and Ika in the current battle, and then clears 50% of the tally of healing. Memo Sprite talent makes Ika maintain 0 speed, immune to debuffs, and not appear on the action order. If an HP of an ally target except Ika is reduced, then at the start of any target's turn or after the target takes action, Ika consumes 4% of its own max HP to heal the ally target with reduced HP for an amount equal to 2% of Hyacine's max HP plus 20. Hyacine being in the after rain state, Ika will gain 1 extra turn and automatically cast the Memo Sprite skill immediately after Hyacine uses an ability, Ika triggering the talent healing effect. Additionally, restores HP for all ally targets by an amount equal to 2% of Hyacine's max HP plus 20. Ika using an ability, duration of their continuous effects will decrease by 1. For bonus traces, A2 will increase Hyacine and Ika's crit rate by 100%, providing healing to an ally target whose current HP is equal to or less than 50% of their max. Hyacine and Ika's outgoing healing will increase by 25%. A4 increases Hyacine's effect res by 50%, and her skill and ultimate will dispel 1 debuff from all ally targets. A6 increases Hyacine's and Ika's healing, and also their max HP depending on speed. Exceeding 200 increases both Hyacine and Ika's max HP by 20%. With every 1 extra speed at past 200, increasing their outgoing healing by 1%, with a maximum of 200 being taken into account. Finally, for her Eidolons, her E1 makes it to where when Hyacine is in after rain state, all ally targets additionally have their max HP increased by 50%, and after using an attack, immediately restore their HP by an amount equal to 8% of Hyacine's max HP. So now with the E1, the after rain state from the ultimate in base kit already did increase everyone's max HP by 30%. Now it is a total of 80%. E2 increases anyone's speed by 30% for 2 turns when their HP decreases. E4 will enhance her A6, making every excess speed at past 200 additionally increase Hyacine and Ika's crit damage by 2%. E6 makes the Memo Sprite skill from Ika clear total tally of healing to 12% rather than 50%, and Ika being on the field will increase the team's all-type res pen by 20%. For Hyacine's best Lightcone options, ultimately this hasn't changed, the options are not vast, but the best one is her signature providing the wearer 18% speed, an extra 1% drain when the wearer uses basic attack skill or ultimate, draining the team's current HP by 1%, and that will make the Memo Sprite from the wearer to do an additional instance of damage equal to 250% of total consumed HP, with the type of damage being the same type as the Memo Sprite itself. Then the HP consumed is reset, whereas Memo Sprite using a Memo Sprite skill will increase damage taken by all enemies by 18% for 2 turns, and effects of same type cannot stack. So this provides you everything you really need for Hyacine. The speed increase is very important as you want to build Hyacine extremely fast, quite literally as fast as you possibly can. This extra consumption part is very useful on HP related teams primarily. As for Castress, it can provide her more gen for New Bud, Evernight more Memoria stacks. It also overall makes Hyacine do more damage since if you run her with HP skill characters, more current HP is consumed, so you get a lot of that. As opposed to if you ban her alongside a bunch of attack skillers but they don't have much HP, it's not going to do much. But yeah, those characters get a buff, even OG Blade can get something out of it. So this part is very situational. It can make her do a lot more damage if she's on an HP scaling team, and then for specific HP scaling characters, they can get a benefit. And then the vulnerability, this is also just universal. Anyone on the team is going to be doing more damage. So everything this Lightcone provides is good and is her best option. Another option you can use is Cyrene's Lightcone. Unfortunately, the full effect cannot be utilized. It also has the same 18% increase to wear speed. Also, the base HP of this light cone is higher than Hyacine's own signature, so that's nice. The part you can't utilize is the blank state, since when the wearer's Memo Sprite uses Memo Sprite skill on an ally, it'll make all enemies take 10% increased damage. Unfortunately, that part is not possible. You can only gain Verse when the wearer's Memo Sprite uses Memo Sprite skill on an enemy, so in this case, it would just be attacking. Versus gain increases everyone's crit damage by 16%. So it's very basic, provides you good speed, really high base HP, and also 16% crit damage for the team. That's pretty much it. And this would be an option if you do just have it laying around. If you have neither of those, your next best option would be the Heart of Shop light cone, with the wearer speed being increased by 6%. After the wearer uses skill, increases damage dealt by all allies by 8% for 3 turns. S5, 12% speed, 16% damage. Very simple, also providing the speed increase that you do want. And the 16% damage dealt increase for everyone is basically always going to be active, as ideally you always will skill on Hyacine. In some skill point scenarios, you might basic, and then some specific cases in some teams like Bladeville, you might use basic attack to get more stacks on the other characters. But since it does last for 3 turns, you can very much easily weave through those basic attacks. So yeah, it's really just a permanent 16% damage dealt increase for the entire team. So this would be the best free-to-play option and the best option if you don't have either own signature or Cyrene signature ready. And unfortunately, past that, you're not really working with anything else. The only last thing you can run is the story's next page. 16% increase to the wearer's max HP. After the wearer Memo Sprite attacks, outgoing healing of the wearer and the Memo Sprite increases by 12% for 1 turn. S5, 32% max HP, 24% outgoing healing. So this fully is incentivized on her healing, doesn't provide anything else outside of that. Max HP will technically increase her damage, but not really since you're focusing on the tally. So yeah, that also will help with healing amount, and then this part increases outgoing healing. So this is the only 4-star option you really have. For best Relic sets, this also really hasn't changed, with 4-piece Warrior Goddess still being overall best. 2-piece provides 6% speed. 4-piece is able to give the wearer a buff called Gentle Rain for 2 turns. All they have to do is provide healing from the wearer themselves or Memo Sprite, which she does do. Wearer having Gentle Rain will increase the wearer's speed by 6%, and all allies crit damage will increase by 15%. So all in all, you look at this as a 2-piece speed for Hyacine herself, plus an additional buff of 15% crit damage for the team. And the requirement is just healing, which is what she does. So it's very easy to have permanent uptime on this. So Hyacine herself is getting 12% speed, which is very, very helpful. And the team gets 15% crit damage, which is also helpful. So this is overall the most consistent and best option. However, if you have the right stats and build, you can actually opt to run 4-piece of World of Making. 2-piece is entirely useless as she already gets 100% crit rate. 4-piece after the wearer uses basic attack or skill. If the wearer's Memo Sprite is on the field, increases max HP of the wearer and their Memo Sprite by 24%. All allies gain a 15% increase to damage, lasting until after the wearer's next use of basic attack or skill. 4-piece is very usable on her, so you can actually get that 24% increase for both Ika and Hyacine herself's max HP to further increase healing. And also the team gets 15% damage. This is inferior to running 4-piece Warrior Goddess. However, if you just have a really good World of Making set laying around, maybe it has a bunch of speed rolls, good HP, good crit damage, so on and so forth, you can very much to opt running a 4-piece of World of Making Deliver instead. Past those two, you really would just run 2-piece. The best 2-piece combination you can do on her, comparing to anything else, is going to be 2-piece speed and 2-piece speed. So 2-piece Warrior Goddess with 2-piece Diviner, 2-piece Relieved Ordeal, or 2-piece Hackerspace. That's really the only combination you should do. Nothing else is really going to be better, so you just do 2-piece speed and 2-piece speed. Planar Ornaments, this one is also the same. You just want to run the Giant Tree with increasing the wearer speed by 6%. The higher the wearer speed, the more they can get a outgoing heal increase for the wearer and the Memo Sprite. 135 is a 12% outgoing healing increase, with 180 being at 20%. As you can remember from Hyacine's trace, you want to hit 200 speed, so a byproduct of building her normally is getting the full effect of this. Plus, it also does provide 6% speed, and it helps when it comes to actually building her in general. And now you're also getting more healing out of it for free. So by far, and really the only one you want to use as opposed to anything else, is the Giant Tree set. For the main stats on the Relics, for the body, you want to run outgoing healing. For the feet, you run speed. For the orb, HP percent. And for the link rope, you always will run energy regen rate. I've seen many people in the past run HP percent or ask if they have a really good HP percent rope if they can run that instead. There's really never a case besides a very specific one where HP percent will ever outperform, as Hyacine's uptime will very much tank if you don't run energy regen. So a bad energy regen will outperform a good HP percent rope. The literal only case where an HP percent rope would outperform is if you're fighting a battle that has so much frequency against Hyacine to give her energy to keep uptime on her ultimate, or maybe something like the TV enemies. That's it. That's really inconsistent, and that's why you always run energy regen. So really, in no case will you run HP percent. For the substats, first is going to be speed. This is going to be your primary focus. You want to get it to 200. Remember, it can be 200 in battle specifically to get the full effect. If you are running the 4-piece Warrior Goddess, the 6% speed activating in battle can count if it does push you over the 200 limit. That is going to be fine. You can get around 194 speed in that case, as that will push you up to the amount that you do need. But of course, just aim for as much as you can. Just getting the 200 isn't going to be the limit. That just gives you the main effect, but you're getting more outgoing healing past that, and the limit is all the way up by 200 excess speed. So there necessarily isn't a limit. The more you get, the better. So yeah, really most of your allocation is going to be going to speed. Then you focus on HP percent, crit damage, and then the last priority would be effect res. HP, getting it around 4,500 to 5,000 is going to be good. 5,000 is ideal, but if you're in the 4,500 to 5,000 range, that's also going to be good. The lesser you can go is if you have more speed. More speed would mean less allocation to HP. So if you're on the lower side of HP, you want to have high speed to account for that. If you have just like the 200 limit, then you're looking closer to the 5,000 range. Crit damage, that's also just as much as you can get rolls wise. It's not like a primary focus. The more crit damage you get, the better. Since she's always going to crit, so it's just some extra damage you can have. It's not going to be overall more priority than especially speed and also HP percent, but it is still there. If you can get her to around 100%, that's going to be great. And the last one is effect res. This one you just have as extra rolls. You don't have to focus on it at all. It's just better to have more effect res, as then you would have less chance to get CC'd, which Hyacine getting CC'd is very bad. So yeah, the last priority would be effect res. Just if you can get any spare rolls, that's going to be a good effective roll to have to fill in any dead slots. Then for some general team building ideas, as Hyacine is a sustain, you can really slot her in any team where you urgently need a sustain. She is one of the best sustains thanks to the fact that she heals a lot, provides solid buffs depending on who you're running. Of course, the buffs don't mean much if you're not an HP scaler. And depending on the team, it can do good damage. But in general, she is just a good healer at base. But the best team she works on is the Remembrance team, which of course consists of Castris, Hyacine herself, as these two are basically inseparable. You can't really run a Castris without Hyacine. And then the last thoughts being Evernight and Cyrene. So this would be the Mono Remembrance team. Then you could sub out accordingly depending on what you don't have. If you don't have Cyrene, you can use M-Blade instead, or even someone like RMC in that spot. Or if you're running main DPS Evernight specifically, then you can actually do something like that, with the Evernight being the last slot. Well, last slot, quote unquote, is the main DPS. With the same substitutes, in this case, you could run someone like Tribby, you can run someone like Cypher if you really need to. The upcoming character Summer Robin is very good for remembrance combinations as well. But yeah, that's kind of the best team where she would excel at. But you can run her on other HP scaling teams where an HP scaler could be the main DPS, which isn't much to be fair, but there's a combination of a Maide team, which is Cyrene, Maide, and last slot would be Hyacine, specifically just because it helps a lot here. For Cyrene, getting more stacks to give up Maide the Gods there from her Ode. Last slot would be the general options as I mentioned. Tribby, you can use Ceredra if Maida's E1. RMC, but less so for Maida's actions as his turns don't matter too much. But yeah, even other older HP scalers such as like OG Blade can go here, and then you can run an action advancer. Sunday or Bronya if you're doing a -1. Sparkle with a base speed blade. Last slot could also just go to someone like Tribby. You can also very much use her on the Blade Veil team, as her HP buff is very, very good for Blade's damage. Doesn't do much for Astral, but it does keep him alive at least. Last slot, of course, here, going to a support, or if you're running another DPS, Gilgamesh. But yeah, really, it's just wherever you would need to sustain. She works better with HP scalers, and that's where she really does excel, especially the Mono Remembrance team. For attack scalers such as, like I mentioned, Ashville himself, Anaxa, characters like that, unfortunately, the stuff she provides isn't that great. And if she's on a team where she's not really getting much of the buff focus, like if you have single target buffers such as RMC, and then you have maybe Ceredra. This is a hypothetical, by the way, but if she's not really getting any form of buffs, the damage is not going to be great. So really, you use her as a sustain in any team where you do need. The only team I'm actively against saying use Hyacine under is going to be the teams with Archer. Really any combination with Archer, even now with Rin, where you have a lot of skill points, I would not recommend this, as you want to allocate all skill points to them. That's kind of the only team I'd go completely against it, but if you really need to sustain in that spot, you can use her. And that is the full 4.5 updated Hyacine guide. I do hope you found this video helpful. If you did, drop a like, it would be greatly appreciated. If you're new to the channel or haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell icon for future videos like this, along with all the tips and style content, and I'll see you later. Peace out.